Hold on. Okay. Well, thanks guys for session two. We've got a lot to get to, and as you can tell, I'm super passionate about this. And we're starting with this slide here to start session two out, because everybody remember, what is that Dr. Seuss book? Oh, the Places You'll Go. For me, this industry, in this niche in the industry, the new construction, the development world has taken me places I never would imagine. I'm sorry, I don't have my video on, but not that that matters, but I'll turn it on. And it's taken me all over the world. It's served me really, really well. I've met some amazing people, both on the customer side, client side, as well as the people that I've worked with, from employees to salespeople and all the rest. And every day and everywhere I go, you pick up something and you learn something. Well, the reason I show this is from about 2002 or three through about 11, we had the fortunate opportunity to represent golf course properties that were signature courses by some of the best architects in the world. So the Jack Nicklaus Design Group, Arnold Palmer, Tom Watson, believe it or not, we did a Freddie Couples course. So in other words, they would contact us to make sure that the real estate offering around these signature courses was taken care of in the highest regard, because many times those course architects participate on the real estate side as well, in addition to just getting an architect fee. Well, one day I remember it very vividly. I get a call from a Florida number, and it was Tiger Woods, someone in Tiger Woods' office. And they had heard that we'd been representing courses and real estate around Jack Nicklaus courses, and they wanted to sit down and talk about representing the real estate of Tiger Woods' first United States golf course. Okay. So for me, I mean, can you imagine that call for me, a guy like me? I mean, a guy like me who's a relatively simple dude that barely got through high school and barely got through college. Next thing you know, I'm talking, and Tiger Woods wants to, or at least their architecture firm wants to talk about us representing the golf course. I mean, I'm like slapping five fives and celebrating. The reason I say all that is I can't believe where this industry has taken me. And more importantly, all the strategies that we are talking about today and next week, and we spoke about a little bit yesterday, are the exact same strategies that we deploy on an uber high-end private club to a production builder. It's all about the process of bringing people along, getting somebody emotionally charged up to purchase, not just financial logic, not just sticks and bricks or price per square footage, which is the general broker mindset, but focusing on the experience, the humility, the sincere servant attitude of bringing people along an education process to show them how to buy and that this is the right one for them. So again, I'm finding comfort no matter who we're dealing with, whether it's somebody in the country of Panama that's building a high rise that we're representing, to somebody in the desert, to somebody at the top of a mountain, to somebody in an urban environment, and it's a first time HUD project. The process is the same. Now, there are uniquenesses. There are certainly differences in each district, but many times that we engage with somebody and we talk about the presentation style or philosophy, I inevitably get pushback from somebody that says that won't work here. Or they say the brokerage community doesn't like it when it's posed or presented that way, or buyer agents don't allow it when I accompany them. And if I didn't have this unbelievable track record of working with great people like you guys and having track records of success, I could easily be convinced that, oh, that's probably right. Maybe in Tennessee they don't do it this way. Or maybe the brokers are different in Virginia than they are in Florida. And truly there are uniquenesses. So I say all this to say that truly there are uniquenesses that we do need to pay attention to. I 100% understand that. However, I am also very, very firm in my conviction and my belief that what we're talking about, 99% of it should really impact your organization. And I believe that with all my heart. If Tiger Woods and those properties that we released back then for Tiger Woods. It was in Asheville, North Carolina. I'd love to tell you the story. It's a wild story. But I mean, many of them were $3.5 million home sites. That exact presentation is what we want to do, even if you have homes for $260,000. So just feel my conviction, feel my belief, and we'll go from there. Okay. That's my opening comments. Now, I want to start the day off with a little bit of a humor, and hopefully no one is insulted. But it is a funny video that was shown on, I think, Jimmy Fallon potentially. But does everybody know this series called Planet Earth and David Attenborough? For those of you that may not know, he is this older gentleman, a British-speaking older gentleman, and he is what the Nature Channel uses to narrate a lot of their Planet Earths. And when they zoom in on an ant colony and they talk about the ant colony doing special things, or they zoom out and there's a lion hunting something. This guy, David Attenborough, has kind of been the expert in the narration of all things in that nature genre. Well, I think it was Jimmy Fallon, but Jimmy Fallon did a spoof of this Planet Earth series with no other than Snoop Dogg. Now, I love Snoop Dogg. I love Snoop Dogg as a personality. I love him, obviously, as a rap singer and a lot of his music, but I think he's one of the funniest guys out there. So in this skit, Jimmy Fallon had Snoop Dogg become David Attenborough and talk about scenes in nature. And the point being here is if you insert somebody into an environment they're not familiar with, what do? They wing it. It's my favorite word. They wing it. Now, in Snoop Dogg's case, it's funny. So let's watch that and then we'll continue on with my point. Okay? I'm going to start a little further on because the first one's a little risque for our group. So we're going to start it a little further into this thing. All right, here we go.
We have a baby. Oh,
hold on, I got it.
It was our screen.
All right, here we go.
Here we go. We got flamingos, right? Famous flamingos. I know what flamingos is. They pink. What's wrong with him? Oh no, cuz the alligators is camouflage. The alligators got green grass on their head and flamingo slipping off the rock. Cuz if he fall, his ass is grass. Look at this motor mouth under the water. Oh, that's cold. He threw. Flamingos can't fly, huh? His ass is falling. He falling real fast. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, look at this. Oh. Oh. You better keep it moving, cuz you fly. Oh, God. He got walked down by a gator. As you see right here, we have a big, what is that, a pigeon? Oh, yeah, what is that, a goat? Oh, they own him, cuz. He got two birds. They circling the goat, cuz. He trying to get out of there. He ain't got nowhere to hide, cuz. They got two, what is them, hawks? Oh, they on the goat, cuz. They chasing him, cuz. Oh, no, he can't get away. He got to go to move, jerk, jump, dip, slip. He's running from a bird, cuz. I hope that bird catch you and eat you. Okay, what is it?
All right, we'll move on. But my point is, and I love that, by the way. I think it's one of the funniest things. In fact, when I haven't seen it for a while and I show it again, I cry. I think it's absolutely hilarious. The point being is, how many times all of us have been guilty? Certainly, if you're a general broker that has a couple new construction clients or listings, many times we walk in these homes and maybe it's not our first time that we've seen the house. It might be, but we seem to kind of walk through the house together with the clients, just kind of making it up like Snoop Dogg did. Obviously, we're not trying to be humorous, but we walk in and we say, over here, oh, okay, that's the kitchen. You can see that it's connected to the living room. Oh, that's the powder room we just walked past. Come check this out. And it's this kind of winging it, if you will. And so that's what I want to avoid. I want to avoid winging it. I want you all to absolutely have a plan for every part of any home that you have in your listing care. And so that's what we're getting towards, where that you are. Remember yesterday we talked about creating a movie set. creating a movie-like environment. So that's what we're going to talk about today is having having a plan for presenting homes. So the first part of our day today is going to be about spec home presentation strategies, doing it the right way. We won't get into yet how to ask for the sale and how to show property in the optimal order. We don't allow somebody to come in, give us an MLS sheet, and we go running out the door without some logic about how we're going to show property. We'll get to all that. I want to start with how do we present a home professionally? How do we present a townhome, home, apartment, not like Snoop Dogg did, but like David Attenborough did, meaning with preparation, okay? So that's what this first session is about, is how to properly present a home with professionalism, expertise. Because remember, the advantage that we have by being on this call right now is we're saying we're specialists. Now, some of you are general brokers that also have this listing relationship. But to be great, you have to have focus and you have to be a specialist. And I liken it all the time. We've talked about this all the time. If you're an athlete and you are injured and you have an ACL injury, whether it's from a chronic thing that you've not taken care of or some acute injury that happened on the field, you don't go to a family doctor. You go to an orthopedic specialist, okay? And I want you guys to think about this. And really, this logic applies to any listing you have, although that if you're a general realtor, that is very unrealistic to be a specialist with all your listings that you have. If you have a on-site specialist, you only have one builder and a couple homes to become a specialist. That's what we want to be. Not only that's what we want to be, that's what we want to be looked upon as with our buyer agent relationships and our client relationships. So yesterday we talked about creating urgency on the home site, becoming an expert on making a home site the truly urgency one-of-a-kind thing that a home sits on. And when I said all that, I want to make sure that we understand I meant that as if the lot is empty or if there's a finished spec home on it. I want you to start on the phone, in the office, in the car, before you present the home. I want you to start prepping with excitement about the lot. It's going to turn their head sideways because no one's done that yet. I want you to get them excited before you go into the house about that home site. Let them beg for you. I got it. I got it. Can we go see the house? I would rather have that than us to glaze over that one thing. And so we talked about all the rules of setting all that up. And then we ended with this number, 43,500. We talked about that's the average number of components that go into creating a typical home. Obviously, bigger ones maybe have more, smaller ones. I don't even know if this number is accurate, but it's a stunning number. It's a shocking number. It's a number that deserves respect. I think too many times, I don't care what house it is, we go by them and look at them as a unit. And that's not the case. On two factors. Number one, the complexity, the engineering, the technology that goes into, I don't care if this is an entry-level $239,000 home, it should be looked upon as, wow. It's a 2025 model with all the latest technology in it. So alone, the awe should be put onto that. And then the second part of it is, it's not a unit. It's ultimately going to be somebody's family's nest. It's going to be where somebody lives, breathes, works, and plays. And so we should look at these 43,500 things with a little awe and transfer that awe over to our customers. I think that's the point there. All right. Here's a first thing that we all need to do. What is your building company's identity? Now, this could be speaking to the builder right now, or it could be speaking to the general broker that just happens to have a builder listing. I want to know this. Here's a case in point why I bring this up. And again, many builders don't necessarily have this hanging on the wall. So as salespeople, we want to exude this or pull this out of the builder. Here's why. We have many neighborhoods that have multiple builders that we service through a central sales house or an office, meaning the clients come in, we identify what they're looking for, and then we take them out to look at homes built by 5 or 6 different builders. Okay. Every condition, every place that we have that happen, we sometimes have a mix of national or regional builders and local builders. 9 times out of 10, the local builders beat the pants off the regionals and the nationals. Why? Because it's really hard to create an identity with a regional or a national home builder. And it's not me making this up. It's me seeing with my eyeballs. People are attracted to doing business with a company that has a personality and an identity. So for you home builders listening, that's a big deal. And it's not a question of this is how we're different than the evil national builders. No, it's highlighting why doing business with you guys feels good and connects me with somebody. I've got, Katie, if you're still on the call, and I think Jimmy Bryan Company may have 1 or 2 people on the call, but I tell Sam, who's his company, he's the owner of the company, I tell him what he's doing and he's beating the regionals and nationals. It's because the owner of the company is having that walkthrough or that conversation or that sales call with the buyer agent, but with the clients. So the clients identify this person as the person that built that house. And look, don't take my word for it. I see it every day. So I'm not suggesting that if you are a building owner, you have to be part of that process on that level. But your salespeople and your clients really need to know who you are and what you are. That story is a big deal. So if you don't have that salesperson, or if you don't have that building company owner, carve out some time to extract that as to what your company is about. This is an example of a company that we worked with out of Lake Tahoe, and we created this, and this is what they came out of with it. I'm just showing this as an example. I'm sorry you didn't see it. I was looking at my area. Involve the best people to always be striving. And this company, we want to post these things. We want to make sure this permeates through our words and through our graphics so everybody knows what this company stands about. And it makes a difference. And then they go into core values, and we don't have to read them all. This particular company, their core values had all these things. It made a difference in the buying decision. So all I'm suggesting is make sure you understand who you're representing and what they're all about. We'll talk about something later called the 4 W's, and one of the 4 W's, and they're all why questions. Why? Well, one of the 4 W's is why build with us, meaning with this builder. Why is that an incentive? Why is that a positive? So we'll go into some more things over there downstream, but the company value and the core values and who the company is a big deal. Hear me about that. It's a huge deal. All right. The other thing I'm going to implore you to do, if you have a plan series or if you have a typical genre that you're going to as a building company or in your representations, let's come up with naming that architectural style or your plan series. And in this particular case, this was done a few years back. We actually got lucky to represent a builder and a neighborhood that had the HGTV, whatever they call it, idea house that they give away. So 20,000 people come in and they give it away. Well, during that, they wanted us to come up with a architectural term to describe it. So we kind of collectively, I'm not suggesting any of us made it up, and I'm not suggesting it hadn't been used before, but we said this is going to be called mountain modern architecture. I don't even know what that means. So then we said, what does that mean? So we came up with 5 things that were, quote, mountain modern architecture. What I'm suggesting is for your plan series or your community, come up with a way to describe the decision making in your architectural elements. Make it up. It truly doesn't have to be in the Architectural Digest definition book. In fact, I don't even care if it is. Grab words that might exude things like don't go together. For example, you might have modern craftsman. Well, that doesn't make sense. Modern is not craftsman. Okay, but see what they did with this roof and that hip and that trim package, or even as something as simple as your address placards could have a modern slant. Whatever it is, again, I ask you to pull yourself aside, have a brainstorming session, and come up with how you label your plan series. Make it up. And look, don't just make it up and say that's the way it is. Make it up and ask your friends. Make it up, ask your clients. Make it up, ask your buyer agent, your salespeople. Ooh, that sounds too bulky, or that doesn't make sense, or I like that one. And then let's grab and kind of circle the wagons that your plan series is different than all the rest. You didn't just copy this, you didn't just steal that, you didn't just tweak this old one, although you may have. Let's come up with something that names the product that we're selling. So I really think of terms like modern, think in terms like craftsman, think in terms of cottage, think in terms of words that are being used on Pinterest, words that are being used on HGTV or any of these shows. And let's define what we are. Okay. And these sometimes take a little bit of, hey guys, we're turning our phones off, we're getting lunch, we're going to sit down, and we're going to chat about how we're going to describe our plan series or this community or whatever it is. And then let's come out and let's agree that that's what we're going to do. So I love this. And so then we kind of started to kind of talk about what we could do with this and what does that mean and define. Because people want to buy something that has some artistic value in it. They don't want a box. They want something with words. And for many of our homes, we have to reach deep because they might be boxes. They might be the most efficient plan box with very little architectural details to fit into an affordability zone that you need to go to produce and have success. I still want you to romance it up with some of these words. And you can see what we did. What does that mean? Neutral color selections, low maintenance, natural landscaping. So we define what that word is. So there's a homework assignment for you guys. I just gave you 2 homework assignments. Come up with the builder's identity. And number 2, come up with a way to define what your plan series architecture is. And I also say this, we work with a lot of builders that have 2 different series. One can be in an urban environment and it could be completely all glass and flat roofs and modern architecture. That's fine. Over here in the suburbs, however, we went with a more traditional estate cottage style with stones and this and that. Whatever it is, let's define it. Okay, that's what this first part about it is, a little bit of a homework assignment. Let's define who we are and what we're building. And that will get legs in the buyer agent community. If you do a good job defining what your plan series is called and those elements, you'll start to hear the buyer agents that you do business with quoting you. You'll start to hear them presenting to their clients your brand identity and your plan series identity. So that's where you want to get to a roll with. Okay. Any questions on that before I move on? Okay. All this is kind of precursors to where we're going. Now, this is where we become specialists. You are no longer the family doctor. You are now a specialist in residency, and we're going to focus not on the human body, we're going to focus on the knee. Now, if you're focusing on the knee, we now need to act like we are specialists. So we want to use a new set of descriptor words everywhere we go. Now, does this mean if we violate that or we slip up or we make a mistake, we're screwed? No. But over the course of time, this will start to come out of you and we'll start to correct ourselves, and these words will have meaning. The reason I'm about to go into this level, wouldn't you all agree, we have to, yes, people have to be able to financially afford our homes. Of course, there has to be financial logic applied. Check. I don't ever want to talk about that again. What moves the needle more than anything is emotion. And I want my words to always be chopping that tree down. I want my words to always be putting people inside or in the backyard or having family moments at the kitchen or the island, kitchen island. I want those to be coming up. So my words should also be as careful. I don't want to call things units, house, townhomes. I want to say home or residence. It's not a resale. Are we competing against the resale? No, it's a used home. I'm selling new homes, used home. I mean, doesn't that connotate something different? I do it now all the time, new versus used, new versus used. I don't really get into the words with resales unless I'm talking to somebody that doesn't know where I'm coming from. Phase. I can't stand phase. The second section of the neighborhood. Okay. This new road. Spec home. Does anybody know what the word spec home means? Somebody turn your microphone off and tell me, what is the word spec home? Where did it come from? And what does it truly mean? Somebody answer that for me.
It's, can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
It's a speculative home.
Right. So do we want to be presenting to a client our speculative home? That's what a spec home is. I want to show a completed home. That's what I want. I don't want inventory. Does that sound romantic? Let's go look at our inventory homes. Huh? Who wants to be in an inventory home? I'd love to see your completed homes or your under construction homes, but an inventory home or a spec home, wrong word.
We've been trying to call them custom market homes for Jimmy Bryan.
That's fine. I like anything that provides some color. So Christine, to your point, I like that. And anything that provides color in a black and white world we're living in. I like colorful language. I like colorful descriptions, and that's what we're doing. Stop talking about square footage. Let's talk about living area. It's not a big deal, but over time, these little things add up. Does anybody want a standard feature? I don't want anything about my life to be standard. You know, one of the great things about this home is our builder actually included these 5 luxury features. Not standard, like not we do this standard. These are luxury features that come inclusive with our homes. Okay. I like that. It feels different. I don't care what price point you're living in. I really don't care. Comes with your home includes option upgrade, personal choice, luxury feature. So these are just words that I want us to start to consider. You know, not customized, but we allow some personalization if you enter enter into an agreement at this home before these milestones. For example, before the painters come, we allow some personalization. Or we have 3 type of cabinet colors to select from, but until, you know, that you are able to personalize up to this point. So we use personalize because the minute you start letting somebody quote customize, now you're off the track and they're telling you all the things they didn't even know that they wanted, but they're thinking of on the spot. And if you say no at that point, you're the bad guy. So we want to stay away from the word customize because that means change. We want you to have personalization options, okay? All right, let's talk about the process of going to a completed home. I'm going to use a spec home here because we just met each other, but we're going to talk about how to present a completed home. Really, even a home near completion, but most of this is about building urgency and showing a home that is completed. Too many times, because the code opens the garage, we park right where that red X is, and we enter through the garage. Never again. Tell me, never again. We're going to always park where I can make a dramatic presentation of the home from the right perspective. I do not want a home being shown where that red X is, where I pull in, face the garage door, punch the code, walk through typically a messy garage door to enter the home. I don't want that happening. Okay. So I want it done this way. And that's not my first impression. I just don't want this. Look, I'm a huge believer in first impressions. I'm a huge believer in when somebody pulls up to a home to see it for the first time, they internally say, huh, I could do that. Or, huh, I don't like that. You hadn't even gotten in the house yet, but people say that in their brain. So the last thing I want is this is what I see to get out of the car and follow you in. I want this. And if I park across the street and I almost pull you back and not let you walk directly to the home, I pull you back and say, let's start here. This is how I want you presenting any home that is available for these people. I want you starting it from here, because this is where egos get stroked. This is where emotions get stroked. This is where people quickly say, ooh, I could see myself having a dinner party here. Ooh, I could see myself inviting the Smiths over for Super Bowl party here. That's where emotion gets evoked. You can see this is very simple stuff, but it's simple. Well, I always tell people the simple things are also what? Simple not to do. And so this is one of those things that I want you to set the stage with drama about a home you're going to go in. And you do that by starting here and saying, hey guys, before we go in, I want to point out a few things that this builder does that you may not have noticed before we go in. So I start my presentation here, okay? And this is where I want every one of you to look at any house you have, from a first-time home builder home to a $5 million home. I want you to pick out 1, 2, 3, or 4 things that you can showcase, even if they're ordinary things. I want you to make them and present them extraordinarily, okay? I want you to look at this house and say, okay, I'm going to call that a metal valance, oxidized steel over the window. Over here, you may not have noticed, floor-to-ceiling glass. Before we go in, I want to show you, notice that the siding, the vertical siding, is a stained color, maybe even cedar. And lastly, I want to share with you the natural flagstone. This builder went overboard with the luxury materials. I mean, we hadn't even opened the house yet, guys. Are you digging this vibe? Are you hearing me? I don't care what you have, find it. I don't care if gutters, as an example, are code. And truly, like everybody that builds a new construction home has it. I want you to point it out. Okay. I want you to make gutters or an irrigation system or a 2-pad cement driveway or a walkway that has stamped concrete. I don't care what it is. I want you to find 1, 2, 3, or 4 things to make and present from this perspective in an extraordinary way. Carriage lights, lighting fixtures, irrigation systems, things that maybe because you've been in the business so long, you don't even see much value in. I want you to stop and create value in these things. They will not have value unless you present it. This is a great example. I don't remember or know what this house was listed for, but we could have walked right in and not said that that metal valance with the oxidized steel, that adds value. If we walked right by it, why put it in? Why even put it in? So that's what I want you guys to get your head wrapped around. Fascia. I want you also to learn. Let me go back. I want you also to become familiar with the main architectural descriptor words of even the simplest home. I want you to know what an eave is. I want you to know what a fascia is. I want you to know what a wall sconce is. These are the things, and you can do that super simply, okay? Super simply. You can do that very easily. This is what makes you a surgeon. Do we all agree? This is what makes you an absolute surgeon, when you can point to these things. And by the way, I don't need you to go to architectural school. I need you to go. When I was in high school, how many of you can admit this? Go ahead. I already told you I wasn't a great student. Who knows what those yellow Cliff Note books were? Man, that's how I read books. I mean, when the guy in 8th grade said, I got to read the Odyssey, a kid with 80,
Hi.
think I'm going to read the Odyssey? Man,
Are you listening to this guy?
what's that?
What, on a podcast or something?
Say again? Maybe someone talking. I mean, I went to the Cliff Notes. So that's all I'm suggesting. Like, go and get a Cliff Note book on 10 architectural elements that you'll know those words of professionally. That's what this is about, okay? So let's keep going. Same thing. Here's a duplex. This is somewhere in South Carolina. I don't know. These homes might be $215,000, maybe $180,000 each side. Okay. Let's again stop outside, point out some of the architectural details. So you don't have to say it out loud. Just look at this home. This is a duplex. It's probably an entry-level product for this community. Without saying it out loud, look at it closely. Could you come up with 3 to 5 architectural elements that are above probably what could have been put on this home? Okay, let's see what the team that had this came up with. Double gables. That's a great architectural element. Was that shingle craftsman siding? So this is a vinyl home, probably with an architectural element of craftsman siding in a cedar shake look. Board and batten. Notice multiple textures. Carriage garage doors. Computer controlled irrigation. I mean, all of a sudden, I just pointed out, the sales team just pointed out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements that when this couple that's considering this home goes back to tell their friends what they're considering, do you think they go back to brag and say, man, we just looked at the greatest house. It is 1,864 square feet. It is 3 cars. It has three bedrooms. It has a powder room in the front. Or do they say, man, I'm going to tell you what, they're building these homes. It's pretty spectacular. I mean, there's like this cedar shake in the front, plus there's board and batten. I mean, they even have this gorgeous carriage garage door. Your dad loved it when he saw it. That's what they're bragging about. These luxury elements that all of your homes have. But unless they're presented, there's zero value. There's zero value. Now remember, this is a rendering, obviously, but this is the human perspective of where you're starting the first impression of that home. Not at the garage door, not in the garage, here. So everybody, I really want you to consider doing this. Now, let's say you have 9, 8, 9, 6, whatever the number is, existing homes on the ground. Find some common elements that your builder does. And look, I don't care what your builder does or doesn't do. It's our job to find a way to present it. It's our job to create value. It's our job to make something that is ordinary extraordinary. That's what this is all about. And we start with that presentation walk. Remember, first impression. Do you remember when you first saw your spouse or you first got that puppy dog? Those images, those first impression images are burned in our mind. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. Okay. Number 1, we got somebody lathered about the home site. Number 2, we created emotion about our approach to the home. Number 3, we've shown off that we are a specialist by pointing out things that they otherwise probably would have walked right by without valuing. That's our job. Okay, let's keep going. Any questions? Okay, same thing. Here's another one. Stucco, materials. So materials, architectural elements, landscape features, anything that you can find, point it out. Okay, we can keep going. We don't have to do that. All right, create the drama of the entrance. Too many times, again, we talk about going through the garage door and entering through some, galley, entering through a mud room, entering through the garage door. I want these people that are looking at their potential next home to go in the way the architecture in the home was designed, the front door. That's what I want. So I want to create the drama. And so look, there's some logistics here. Well, our builder has a locks box that only opens the garage door. Okay, let's solve that. These are the logistics that you as a salesperson have to say, hey, look, Bob the builder, I need your help in this. I need a universal key. I need the lockbox to the front door. I need a code put that I can remote open the front door. Whatever it is, what we've decided as a sales company is this is our route of entry. Logistically solve that. I don't know what your unique situation is. Logistically solve that. Oh, by the way, let me call a timeout real quick.
All right, here you go. You have a good one.
Thank you.
Everybody okay? Okay, let me call a timeout real quick. Oh, by the way, let me go back to this. Let me go back a few slides. I think I'm going back. Yep. Let me go back a few slides. Let's go back in time. And someone is coming to see our house, and the buyer agent calls, and you just give them the lockbox key. Think about all that we've just talked about for the last 20 to 30 minutes. If you are not there, you are not in control. The buyer agent has their clients without you. Did we just miss this entire 30-minute emotional suggestion? We just completely missed it because the buyer agent is not going to know any different. They've never seen this house, most likely. They're parking right here. They're punching in the code that they see in their phone. They're going in the house. Look at the results, guys. Look at I get so passionate. You're dead. The closing percentage alone, you're dead. And you're the salesperson at home or in your office because the buyer agent said they didn't want to be accompanied. And this is the only sales strategy you have. If you could see my camera, this is the only sales strategy you now have. This is it. You're screwed. If you are waiting for the universe or some other person to impact your success, you're screwed. So we cannot allow an unaccompanied presentation of one of our homes. We cannot let somebody from the family doctor's office, maybe the nurse, come into our surgical room and give surgery to the knee when we're not there. Sorry, guys. Builders have way too much at risk to ever allow that to happen. Let me tell you something. If you, the salesperson, had the financial risk that the builders have, you would not cross your fingers and hope the buyer agent did a good job selling your product. Think about how that is. And in our industry, guys, that's the norm because the broker says, I don't need that pressure. I don't want you there. I'll call you if I have questions. You're screwed. You're dead. You will not make your goals. Say it out loud. I will not make my goals if I don't personally take charge of the presentation. It's a fact. Look, if you find an environment where all you have to do is get the listings and give out the lockbox code to buyer agents, call me up. I'll invest in that company. It doesn't work. There's no such thing. So back to our involvement, we do all this with the drama. Now, let me get back to the drama of the entry. Again, I am with the client. And again, I am not poo-pooing how hard it is sometime to take control of a buyer agent client. There has to be an art to that. There has to be a skill to that. There has to be a relationship involved. Remember I started the first session out that you've got to be like Norm on Cheers. If you've never heard from this buyer agent, they don't even know you from Adam, and they want to go unaccompanied to see your home. That's a hard pill to say, no, you don't know who I am. I'm coming. That's not good. Yeah, therein lie another reason to be at every HBA event, be at every realtor party event. You've got to be an entity in the industry to be valued. So you've got to be Norm. They have to have heard of you. And buyer agent should be getting correspondence. We'll go into that later. But you communicate with 3 populations in your life. You communicate as a salesperson with 3, and they each get communicated differently. Customers, buyer agents, and your clients that said yes, your owners. They each deserve consistent communication from you all the time. So even if there's no way to form a relationship with all the buyer agents out there, they're getting an e-blast from you. They're getting emails with walkthroughs. They know who you are. They see that you dress well, that you speak well. You're out there in social media. You're out there in your nurture campaign and e-blast. By the way, all that branding and marketing I just threw out there is free. It's just you. So the more you do, the more you look like a professional, the more you can dictate how this process goes. If I've never heard of you and you come racing up because your boss told you to not allow unaccompanied viewings, you're screwed already. So you got to have some branding going on about who you are in the background. Okay, so back to the perfect scenario. I'm with clients, maybe I'm with clients alone, or I'm with clients and the buyer agent. I hold the key, I hold the entry to the front door. I run up, I unlock the door first, then I step behind everybody and I say, Bob, Mary, go on in. Here's why. And I know many of you will roll your eyes at this like detail of this process. Again, let me tell you why I do it this way. If all of you believe in first impressions, here's another one for us. I believe that by the feel of the door hardware going into a home, the client judges how well that home is built. That doesn't make any sense. Everybody stop. Say it out loud. That makes no sense. But in my brain, by the feel and the weight of the door hardware, or the feel and the weight of the front door used, I assume the whole house is built that way. I've walked in $5.5 million spec homes that for some weird reason chinched on the door hardware and the front door, and all of a sudden my brain goes into the whole house must be built this way. Conversely, I've walked in first-time home buyers that stepped up a little bit on the door hardware or the front door, and when they touched it and they opened it and it was substantial feeling, they said, wow, wow. So builders, if you're listening, go up a little bit on that front door experience and it will set the stage. It's not fair. Like you could use 2x6 construction on the exterior walls at your own cost because it's the right thing to do to have more insulation. You can do upgraded home technology throughout the house. That doesn't set the stage as much as one increase in your front door hardware, and that sets the tone. Okay, so think about that. So if the builder subscribed to that, wouldn't I want husband and wife, not broker or not me, opening the door and saying, come on in? I want them getting that feeling. I want them getting that punch of emotion of this could be our house. I mean, I would really like Susie, my friend down the street, to come and walk through this door and see my new home. Ego, ego, emotion, emotion. Not sticks, not bricks, and not price per square footage, which is I'm sick and tired of hearing about. You know, price per square footage, price per square footage. It's important. You have to be in the zone. But how many times have we heard not all square footage is made equally? So there's too many variables in this crazy thing I keep hearing everybody want to talk about, price per square footage. I want to go and talk about emotion. All right, here we go. We're in the house. I allow them to enter first.
Can I piggyback?
Yes.
Being a builder, I 100% wholeheartedly believe what you're saying there. It's one of my own personal pet peeves. And so interior doors is another thing. So, you know, when I'm going through homes, if that interior door doesn't close with a thunk, like it like oftentimes if you go through, there'll be like a little bit of rattle, there'll be a little bit of play, but we make the door company come back. I mean, it's never 100%, but we strive to really make it happen so that if you're closing a bathroom door, it shouldn't shake within the jam. It should just close because then psychologically the buyer's feeling loose, the feeling is loose, the sound is loose, and then psychologically the message about the whole house is, well, this thing is put together loosely as opposed to funk. It closes, it's nice. So just the way that small little things, small little details like that can, and I love the concept about having the buyer actually feel it. Point it out, tell them, have them feel that experience. Oh, this is how the whole house is done. So I think that's great.
Man, you nailed it. And I'm going to add one more point to Kyle. So Kyle's is a builder. He owns the company. He is a local builder. Kyle is competing literally a couple homes away from nationals. There's a Lennar, there's a big regional. So he is, quote, the local builder. Kyle, what you just said, in a million years, what Kyle just said about having the vendor come back, fix it, make it right, identifying it needs to thud, it needs to close right. Can you imagine a superintendent from a Lennar, a DR Horton, or a Pulte saying that to a client? They would never. Kyle is saying it because it's important to him and his reputation. That is the key. That is the example of what I was talking about, a builder's identity. Kyle, you nailed it. So if I'm a client and I hear that Kyle cares about stuff like that, I'm starting to get the hang of this. Because down the street, that big box builder, they were very impersonal. I don't even know who's building my house. I don't even know who I would call if there was a door jamb that was not right. In other words, there's 78 people touching that house, and the people in charge are in 5 states over. Kyle's in the house pointing out he would call the vendor back for that. I like that. That's a prime example. You just nailed it, and thank you for that, Kyle. All right, let's keep going. So we got the entry, we got the doorway, we feel that substance. Another really cool tool is believe it or not, the term Ring doorbell, smart home technology, Ring doorbell. Ring doorbell's been out a long time. Not many people don't have them. Not many people have them. So setting that Ring doorbell up there, or let's call it a smart home lock, maybe that's what it is, a door, whatever it is. Like a Ring doorbell now costs like $50 to $100. It sets the tone as I'm entering the home that this is a 2025 home. I live in an apartment, or I live in a rental, or I live in a 30-year-old home. I'm going into a home with a substantial door feel and some smart home. Even if it was a $50 Ring doorbell, this is a smart home. This is 2025. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, why do people buy cars? Ford has been pumping out effectively the most popular car sale in America is a Ford F-150 truck. They have a lot of variables for that reason. A lot of companies use them, a lot of construction companies use them, personal people use them. Effectively, the Ford F-150 truck has been the same truck with minor body styles and interior upgrades. That's it. But people keep trading in their truck to buy a new truck because the Bluetooth is improved or the headlight got a tweak. The engine didn't change. The suspension didn't change, but people like new cars, new products. So make your house feel like it's a 2025, we just got Bluetooth thing. A Ring doorbell, $100, that does it all day long. That does it all day long for your clients. Okay? Oh, and why not? Hey, let's go back out. Remember we said point out 5 things and make them extraordinary? A Ring doorbell for $100. I could spend 7 minutes on the benefits of having the Ring doorbell on our home. I could spend 7 minutes lighting you up and your family and your safety, which is important to our builder. 2025 technology. I ain't even gone in the house yet. Does Kyle down the street, does Lennar, the big box guys, do they have Ring doorbells as an example? No, they don't. Okay, so these are the things that the local home builder or someone with the spirit, someone with the care of customer satisfaction puts in their homes. Let's keep going. Same thing when we get inside. I want you to become an expert about pointing out things that are probably you never in a million years thought that you're going to point out. But I'm going to show you things that this builder does. Okay, I'm going to make the ordinary extraordinary. That's my job. And so and back to this, I got to go backwards one step. I forgot. Remember we said we have the ability to be a movie set director. This is our house. This is our location. If I did this well and I walked in this door, do I want to run around and turn lights on? Or should I have gotten there earlier? If possible, I know you can't do it because if you just grabbing people or they came in your model home and you're showing them this, have the lights on, set the stage. So one of the things we have our agents do is if you have available homes in your neighborhood, you get there a little early, you turn on the main lights in our homes, and you go back to the model home. At the end of the day, you leave a little bit early, you go around, you turn off the lights, just in case I have that one client, that one moment, my home's ready to go. Just in case. So that's what that is, setting the stage. Okay, every room, every single room, you find 4 or 5 elements to point out. Okay, and you get good at it. You have sessions with your teammates. Your teammates present, then you present. Ooh, I didn't know. Yeah, you're right. That's a great point. Let me point that out. Oh, that's great. Like literally, do we walk by and let the brochure say we have 42-inch upper cabinets? Or do we stop and say, you're not going to believe this. This home includes 42-inch cabinets. I mean, that's what they put in the mega mansions. Like this home has that. Like, get excited about it. I mean, like there are a lot of builders we represent that don't even put pulls on their cabinets. That might be a business decision. That's okay. But if your builder has pulls, call them out. Make the insignificant seem significant. Okay. Every room, every element, anything that you can see creates emotion. Don't walk by it. Do not assume that your buyer agent even has the capacity to point this stuff out. That's your job. That's why they need you. And also, it's done in a conversational manner. It's not, let me show you the 98 things in this. It's like, hey, before we go to this upstairs portion, come over here real quick. I want to point out 3 things that I thought were so cool when I first saw this home kind of get built and imagined by this builder and this architect. Check this out. This exposed beam, man, it adds a really cool shadowing effect and kind of a room divider. Over here, check this out. You know, that hot rolled steel chase. Like, I didn't even know what a chase was. I had to go look it up. But man, this really completes this home. They didn't need to do it, but they did it. That's the way you present. Okay? That's the way you present. So these are little homework assignments. Each room, you got to have it. Bathrooms, same thing. We're not going to spend time on this. I'm going to roll through here and we're going to take a break, our 5-minute break. You know, last thing, and then we'll take a break. We've got something called a community checklist, protecting our first impressions. So many times I've come to a salesperson's office or I've walked a spec home with a salesperson and I said, man, there's weeds all over the place. There's cobwebs. This light bulb doesn't work. That fire alarm is beeping. It's crazy. And I say that to the salesperson. What does the salesperson say? I've told the builder. I've told them 5 times. They just won't get it done. I hear it all the time, and I believe you. Builders are stacked up. Maybe they don't see it as a priority like you do. That's where this checklist comes. This checklist basically gets turned in and has a track record of I've been asking for it. Plus, it reminds you to do things you otherwise might not have done. So this is something that we share. This is something that we ask. If I go in a home and something is not right, the salesperson better pull this out and show me evidence that they've been asking about it. Okay, that's what this is about. The other thing this eliminates, or at least attempts to eliminate, it's my biggest pet peeve in construction. Get ready for this because I'm going to get angry and I'm going to need 5-minute break to keep going on. I can't stand when a builder tells me the house is photo ready or the house is ready for listing and truly it's at 90%. I don't want to see that. I don't want to show that house. I don't want to see that house. 100% means 100%. 100% means it's ready to go on stage. It means the cobwebs are gone, the dust is gone, the dirt is gone, the crap in the garage is gone. That's what I want. 90% actually is worse than 70% because now people are judging you that you're a slob. They're judging you, the builder, that you don't put light bulbs in accurately all the way. It's judging you because you didn't come back and fix that crack or nail pop. They're judging you. It has to be 100%. That's whereas I'm going to stop 12:00 for me. In 5 minutes, we'll come back and keep rocking. But everybody take a potty break. Everybody take a text break. 5 minutes. We'll be back.
There's no logic. Oh no. It's like, when I. Like. Oh, say hi. Oh, hi.
All right, everybody, we'll get going in about 30 seconds. So tidy up what you're doing in 30 seconds. All right, guys, let's get rocking. We will getting on. We got about 50 minutes. We'll roll and I will cut this thing off and get everybody back to their lives. I know it's a lot to sit in front of a computer screen and listen. So thank you guys for that. And the goal here is, look, if you pick anything up that helps you today, tomorrow, certainly that is what this thing is all about. So we're going to sink our teeth into how do we present an existing home properly. So we have a routing. And again, number one is what we just talked about. If you're looking at my slide, which I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. Okay. Number one is that approach and all the rest of that. And then it does something very different than probably what you've ever been coached or told or seen or been doing. And it's literally to run through the house. Okay. The idea is you already know where my love My first love was the land. My first love was the lot. That's what made this unique. So our thinking is go through the house. They're going to follow you. They're going to see the kitchen, the main living area. They're going to kind of take it in as you slowly walk in. But with excitement, you're going to say, guys, come here. Let me show you one of my most favorite things about this home. And you to go to the rear of the home, whether it's a patio, a deck, a big screen porch, a window, whatever it is, we are going to now highlight the living towards the rear of the home and the view and the usability of the rear of the home site. So that's why we roll through. What I don't want to do, which is the MLS shuffle, is walk in the door and say, on your left is the powder room. It's a nice powder room. There's your stairs going up. As we walk through to the right, we'll go in there in a second. That's the master bedroom. Here's your kitchen, and you stop in the kitchen. It's like you're providing no value. You put the Mickey Mouse ears on. You are not leading anything. You are literally pointing out what I can see without you. So take control. Say, guys, real quick, we're going to come back. Come with me. I want to take you outside real quick and show you this view or this lot or this width. This is where I'd put the garden, Mary. You said you're into gardening. I'd put it over here because there's more sun. This is where I would, have the play set because there's a little more privacy on this side. I love this tree. I love this view. Did you know this is the east? This is where the sun rises. All these elements making it a irreplaceable one of a kind. So for some of you, you're going to have to work at that. Some of you have killer vistas and killer views. Some of you back up to another crappy home. Whatever it is, that's your job. That's why they need us. That's why you signed up to be the salesperson. You got to find this romance, okay? So we run to the back and we talk about, part of our sales strategy is telling people why we're doing something. For example, if you go back to the time I told you my boss wanted me to go to the beach club, and I literally turned right away from the entrance to the body of the neighborhood, if I didn't tell somebody what I was doing and why I was doing it, they would literally think I'm kidnapping them and taking them away from the product. I said, this is going to sound crazy, guys, but before we go and look at the real estate, before we go and look at the homes, I really want to show you this beach club. It's the number one reason people purchase here. And I'd be doing you a disservice if I just showed you a picture. So it's just going to take a few minutes extra. Let's go over here. In other words, I explain the rationale. So in this case, I'd say, guys, let me show you something real quick. Before we look at the home, I want to kind of take you out to the back. They will follow you. They will. And I say, the reason I want to do that is everybody lives at the rear of their homes. Everybody lives and entertains in the back. That's where the views are. That's where the glass is. So let me show you what I love about this property first, then we'll come back to the house. If I explain it that way, they'll be like, okay, great. Following your lead, let's do this. So we go to the back. Number 3, we go to the kitchen, okay? The kitchen is the big space. The kitchen gives me tangible things, which you'll see in a second, that we can physically demonstrate and do. It gives me the ability to point out brand names like Moen fixtures, or whatever your appliance is, packages. It really is the home. It's the heartbeat. It's the center. So that's where we kind of go to start the home out. Not with the garage or the powder room. We start in the heartbeat of the home, the kitchen. And we'll talk about what we do with that. But 4, that is really weird to go to 4 next. Let me let you in on a secret. Many, many times, men and women, but especially men, look at the garage differently than we all think. Many of us look at the garage with unlimited possibilities. Could it be a workshop? Could it be my art studio? Could I park my car here? Could it be used for storage? Could it be that thing that we were missing in our last house? So if you're not getting excited about a garage's potential, boy, you're leaving out a tool in your holster or a bullet in your holster. Like you really, really are leaving that out. Builders, if you're not thinking about your garage with that same excitement, you really missed out. If you're not looking at the garage as a utility awesome thing, you're really missing out. Is it too shallow for a big truck to go in? You're really missing out. Is the water heater in the way of any kind of large vehicle to pull in? You're really missing out. Do you have the potential to add a little height to the garage? If you at least explore that option, you're missing out. If you use your garage in your spec homes as a storage place for lumber and crap, you're really missing out. It should be spotless. It should be well lit. I don't care if you finish it or if it's unfinished. I don't even care. But it should be well lit. It should be well purposed, and it should be clean. Does everybody agree with me on that? The garage is never spoken about as an amenity, but it should be. Us guys dream about the possibilities of a garage. Many of your clients in many of your feeder markets are coming from places where they don't have a garage. Or do I assume people know it's just a 2-car garage? No need to really highlight it or feature it. Let's just move on. Let's romance that space up. So think about what we've just done. Number 1, first impression. Could I actually buy this? Could I live in this? Could I do? Ooh, this door feels great. Oh my God, this crazy guy's shoveling us through the house. Now we're in the backyard. Oh, wow. Yes, it is extra deep. Oh, there is plenty of room for a garden, a small garden. Oh my gosh, a place that would fit over there. 2, 3, come back. Oh, wow, this is a substantial kitchen. To 4, oh man, this garage would definitely hold my tool set. I could put a TV right there. This builder even put extra outlets in the garage because they know what I'm going to be doing here. Things are clicking. Think how emotionally I've risen this home to how it works in somebody's daily life. Are we digging this vibe? I hope so. Then I go into these other spaces. And essentially these other spaces is everything else except what? The master bedroom. So I go through the house, I point out basements, I point out laundry space, I point out a hallway or bonus space that could be used for a study area. Whatever other elements there are in the home, I don't know. They have a million variables, but everything else comes next. And then we finish in the master bedroom, and I close in the kitchen. Why do we finish in the master bedroom and the master bath? Because the people making the buying decision, this is where they live. Too many times we come in, we look at the kitchen, we look at the master bedroom, and we end our presentation or we end our discussion in a secondary bedroom that's 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 and has one window. That's where we want to crescendo? No, not on my watch. On my watch, I'm not a Disney tour guide. I am taking the control as a specialist, and I'm ending in the master bath. I'm ending in the master bedroom, and I'm crescendoing back in the kitchen for my process that, by the way, we're going to get there in probably day 3 or day 4. I end with my 6 steps of closing, which starts with, let's summarize and recommend how and why I think this is the perfect home. Let's summarize. You said you wanted the home to be under 400,000. This is 375. Check. And I physically use my hand. Check. You said you needed at least 3 bedrooms. This home includes 4. Check. You said you wanted the open concept plan. Check. Guys, based on that, here's what I recommend we do. Notice how I said we, because I'm on their team now. I'm not a salesperson against them. I said, let me recommend what we do. I'm jumping ahead, but that's the start. That's where I do as I crescendo at the kitchen in 13. That's where I start that process. My point being is this is our routing. So I really want you to look at your homes. It could be a townhome that only has 2 floor plans. It could be a plan series where there's only homes that are 2-bedroom, 1 story. I don't care. Come up with the routing that makes sense for you that follows this lineup. Now, here is our rules to live by. Make the ordinary extraordinary. Demonstrate, open, and close. What does that mean? Don't just point at the cabinets, open them up. Show any features that are unique about your cabinets, about your drawers, about the pools, about the microwave. Open, close, firm, shut, solid. Use name brands as much as possible. Find out from your builder what lighting fixtures they use, what plumbing fixtures they use. You know, this builder uses all Moen fixtures. Did you know all Moen fixtures? All of them, lifetime warranty. Anything happens down the road, even after the builder's warranty's expired, lifetime warranty. That's why this builder uses Moen. Doesn't that add some extraordinary to the ordinary? Like a Moen fixture could be literally builder grade. I don't care. Comes with a lifetime warranty. So find those little things, the opening and the closings, the name brand, the demonstrations, the windows. How does the window open? How does it close? How does it lock? Did you know it folds open at a 45-degree angle? One of the benefits is you can clean it from the outside, close it, open it. That's demonstration. That's open close. That's being a specialist. So when you read this line, make the ordinary extraordinary. When you read this line, demonstrate, open, close. When you read this line, use name brands as much as possible. That applies to every single room you're going to show. Well, how can I do that in a secondary bedroom that has one window, one closet, and literally is 10 by 10? That's your job to figure out. That's your job to figure out. Maybe that secondary bedroom that doesn't have a whole lot to talk about, maybe that's where you talk about the windows being used and the advantages of how they open, how they lock, how they close, or that the home includes screens. So in the spring, they can be opened up. That's where that, every single room has a physical demonstration. Every single room. I mean, you could get into a secondary bedroom that has no features, and that's where you point out 2025 technology. Every room has a smoke detector that's wired to the electrical. So you do have the battery backup, but it's also wired. Ooh, ordinary, extraordinary. Every room has the accordion style closet doors. You know the benefit of that? It gives you more room. I don't know what your solution is. Carpet padding, electrical outlets. Find something that you get excited about presenting with every room, right down to the secondary bedrooms that you couldn't even imagine finding value in. Find value in it. And then I want you to not just point these things out, but also address where little Johnny's going to sleep, where your work home life balance, where your professional, where your private Zoom calls because you work from home could be, where you could prep the kitchen and have privacy, where other people do homework, where you watch your favorite show. All those elements are twisted into your presentation. Because don't we live with Netflix? Don't we live with having to do homework? Don't we live with cooking our dinners together? Where do people sit? Where do people eat? Where do people gather? Where do you entertain? You know, we have a project that is a second home private club community. So it's, you know, where rich people from Silicon Valley and San Francisco go up to Truckee and Tahoe to buy these second homes. One of the things that the architects keep pumping out are these huge, oversized dining rooms, because it's this vision of this is where we're going to have Thanksgiving meal at this second home. So we want 10 people to be able to fit in this dining room. Same thing on our first-time homebuyer homes. Look at how each space is going to be used, and don't just present like a brochure from a manufacturer. Present with some heart. And this is how our families use this space in the Elm, or this is how our family used this space in this model. Oh, and in their brains, if they're listening, they're putting themselves in that. Highlight new versus used components. I mean, there again, Moen fixtures, lifetime warranty, so much better than a used home. You know, all these things, we're always competing against a resale, always. So we have to highlight that fact that this technology is better than something you get down the street for maybe even cheaper, but it's 30 years old. Every room has a demonstration benefit. We already talked about that. I love this. Have samples available for warm guests. I mean, I don't care if it's a first-time home buyer. If you have somebody that's trending like they're liking what you're saying, why not send them home with a sample piece of the countertop? Why not send them home with a sample piece of maybe the flooring, the LPV or the engineered hardwood, whatever it is? Have some samples that they can take your home with them, because they will, I promise you, they will start showing their family. They'll start looking at it and thinking about it. And oh, by the way, does any of your competition do anything like that? You're the only one. So I don't know if that's reasonable ask of the builder. Can I get a couple samples of the carpet or the carpet padding? Can I get a couple samples of this or that? I don't know if that's realistic, but having something that allows people, and again, I don't give these things out to everybody, but if somebody's close, let them take something home with you. Let them take a little piece of that house with them. Okay? It's amazing what it does. Consider creating a storybook. I mean, if you had a plan series, or if you had a custom home or something, a storybook is a coffee table kind of photo album of that home at each stage of construction. Maybe you could be theatrical, have the builder sign it. You could be theatrical, have the architecture sign it. Whatever it is, it's one of these books that kind of stays with the house and gives that home life. I'm not considering you, I'm not suggesting that you do that, especially if you're in the production build world, but it does make a difference. People love that little book, signed by the architect, signed by the builder, signed by the vendors, of all the people that are hearts and souls in that book. And it's laying there on the kitchen island for when the home builder buys that home, they buy that book. It adds a little soul to that house. Something simple, may not be doable, I don't know. Something to consider. I promise you, a buyer agent sees that, a buyer agent sees you giving out samples, I promise you, you will stand out from the crowd. You will not be just another home they saw. They will be telling their office mates. You won't believe what Mary did. Like, we walked in, I thought it was just going to be another presentation. Dude, she sent us home with samples of the quartz and a couple room, the upgraded padding that they're using in the carpeting. They didn't know what to do with it, but I thought it was super cool because it highlighted what they have versus the other guys have. So something to consider. I don't know. Thoughts before we move on? Arguments, disagreements? I like this. Somebody say something. Let me know where we're at. Come on. Somebody take their mic off mute. Give me something.
I love referring to other houses as, used. I love that.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, it highlights the obvious, right? And resale is such an industry term that it doesn't evoke that it's used versus new. And you have that new house. So, I mean, absolutely. Words are powerful. Do we all agree with that? Words and the way you say things are very powerful. So why not leverage it in the right direction? I'm going to skip through this because we're going to come back to that. All right. Getting into the perfect operational plan. And we're going to get into the process that we go in talking about a community or talking about a plan series or talking about a spec home. Now, part of this, before I get into the defined process, which is this process, is in a perfect environment. And I know that many times we engage with clients, many times we engage with buyer agents, it's not a perfect environment. It could be somebody literally that we are seeing in the street and we're quickly starting that presentation there, to the best case scenario where somebody literally books a showing, to the best case scenario, somebody books a showing and you have a sales office or a model home that has support graphics, a comfortable place to meet. So there's every layer of where you start your engagement with the client. I'm aware of that. They are not all started in a perfect, organic, closed environment. I'm aware of that. For the sake of this, let's take it and let's at least imagine we have a starting point where I can present what we're going to see before we go see it. So that's an important element, that we can present what we're going to see before we go see it. That's the purpose of a model home. That's the purpose of a selection studio. That's the purpose of even an office, is to set the stage before we go out. You know, always, wouldn't we agree, if we had the luxury of choice, we would want to start in a nice, sterile environment. If we don't have the choice, the worst case scenario is, hey, can you meet us at the house, open the door, and then I take it from there. So best case scenario, worst case scenario. So everywhere in between, we engage with clients. I recognize that. But let's at least say if we had the perfect environment, we have a sales process to follow. So let's start there. And then no matter what your situation is, extract these strategies and insert them into your zone. Okay. So our process has these points. Some of them are super obvious, but we're going to talk about them. Others are not. Build immediate, sincere rapport. Answer the 4 big ones. That's probably all we'll get to today. Clarify and qualify, which literally is your cheat sheet to whittling down to 1 perfect property. It's literally your cheat sheet to get the client on 1 property. The model home demo, how we use that perfect sterile environment, how we use it to our advantage to present what we're going to see. The property tour using impact stations, the optimal order of showing property, which is our perfect property. So showing property to get to the perfect property, 6 steps of closing, and some immediate creative follow-up. That's what our sales process in a perfect sterile environment is. Today, we're going to talk about the first 2, building immediate and sincere rapport. I don't even have a slide for this, but let me tell you how important it is. So do you remember, for those of you that are in the business a little bit, Dorinda, I see that you're on the phone. So I know you've been around either salespeople, sales managers, sales trainers, where somebody ran to the window, looked out the window and say, yes, I got a good one. Now, what do they mean by that? They're judging a client by the way they arrive or what they're driving. And I've been in environments many times where they'll say, oh man, they're driving a Porsche. Yes, that's a good one. Or, oh man, I don't know who this guy is. He might be lost. He's got a pickup truck. Where we're prejudging the client. And so we would say, don't run to the window, don't prejudge, don't do that. Well, I'm coming full circle, guys. I'm saying run to the window and size up who you're dealing with. Why? It's not to say, am I gonna treat these people differently because they're look a certain way or drive a certain car? No, it's opposite of that. I'm gonna look out the window saying, oh, they got a bike rack. Okay. Yeah, he's got a real nice specialized mountain bike on the back of his car. He's driving a Subaru. They're outdoor type. Okay, I got that. All right. Oh, wow, they're Alabama fans. He's got an Alabama sticker. All right. Oh, they got a car seat. Okay. Because what I want to do is I immediately want to find some common ground. I don't want to do it insincerely. I want to do it sincerely. But I want to immediately not start the talk about anything about what I have to sell. I want to try to find some similar ground that we hold together. Like there's no greater relationship start than someone coming in and saying, hey, Bob and Mary, who you sold the house to down the street, they love you. They told us to come over here. Oh, Bob and Mary did? Isn't that the greatest, like grease the skids, greatest way to start something? Like, or somebody comes in and, oh man, I saw you have an Alabama sticker. Oh yeah, he's a diehard fan. Oh man, I'm an Auburn fan. I mean, don't hold it against me. We'll get along. We're talking about stuff. I'm a human. Or I see you have 2 kids. How old are they? I've got 4. Oh my gosh. We've got to start that way. And the amateurs out there don't start that way. They start with, how can I help you? Are you serious? Or what are you looking for today? Are you serious? Or, hey, my name's Bob. You guys are looking around. Have you guys been pre-approved? Are you serious? Like, chill out. Find some common ground. And look, it's not that easy sometimes. Some people, man, they won't even talk to us. Some people won't give us a crack. I understand that. Do your best. But if you can find common ground, if you can find some allegiance or some person that we both know, man, it greases the skids for everything else. So be purposeful about this. Now, I don't know, how do you get good at this? Time, experience. You can read some books. Of course, you can read some books. But just remind yourselves, before I get going on any kind of meaningful business conversation, what am I going to do? I'm going to try to crack the code to get someone to laugh, to get someone to say, oh my gosh, I know that person, or I didn't know you did that, or I played soccer also, or I love Alabama football. Like some common ground. The more you can be great at that, the more you can find that out, the more your business talk will have legs. So really embrace that. I mean, literally, when I go into any kind of intro meeting, I don't, and I've done it so much, I know how these things work. So I have the advantage of having years of experience. I don't care if I'm in a boardroom at Credit Suisse and they're about to give me 3,000 acres of one of their holdings to help manage. I literally say, I got to break the ice in this room before we get into it. So I'll laugh at myself. I'll laugh at the fact that I have 4 daughters. I mean, there's plenty of content there to laugh at me, but make me human. Make me one of you guys. And so I say this, like this should not even be on our screen. It literally should just be common, human psychology, but it's not. So really find a way to slow things down in that early 30 seconds to be human and to try to find common ground. And you will not believe how much easier the rest of it goes for you and for them. Plus, it's more enjoyable. Okay? Thoughts, comments, questions, challenges with that? But give it to me before I go off this topic. Anybody got anything? Who works in a model home where they get walk-ins all the time where they have to be good at this? Somebody give me something. Samantha, give it to me.
Yes. Yes, indeed. That's always my primary goal, to start just chatting with whoever comes.
How do you do it when you got that arm crosser that's just a crotchety stick in the mud? How do you break the ice? How do you get there?
I compliment their earrings or something.
Yeah, good. So in other words, like the conversation kind of, you steer it away from answering a question. Here's a great analogy, and Samantha, you're right, because we all have to deal with owner types. When we take over a large master plan community, and you go into their big model home or their sales office, we call them discovery centers. When you walk in, how many of us have seen this? You walk in, there's a huge topo table, okay? And that topo table, I call it a topo table, it's a big property map. And some of them are like little model railroad train sets. Maybe they have the topography, they got little trees, they got little cars, some of them have little people walking, maybe they have the golf course, they have little models, they have the lots numbered all over the place. And it's an impressive thing. It's a big, impressive topo table. Well, when I used to see that when we were taking over a sales organization, it concerned me because the couple would come in, they'd gather around that table, right? They would stand around it because that's what I would do. I mean, it's a beautiful looking model railroad set. They'd stand around that table, and then the salesperson would come out, introduce themselves, but the natural inclination of that client or customer would be to say, what's this over here? And you say, oh, that's the clubhouse. And then the other would say, well, this lot looks really big and really nice. How much is this one? Salesperson says $490. And then they say, well, what's this little box? And you're all of a sudden, you're on your heels just answering questions that are like all over the place, like literally all over the place. So I would say, guys, I want that model, I want that topo table removed. And they'd be like, huh? I said, it's not setting us up right. We're like literally meeting the client, answering questions. They don't even know my name yet. I said, move it to the back room. Like, I'd rather come back to that topo table as a way to reflect on what we did together than to start my conversation. That's how important building an immediate and sincere rapport was to me, that I removed that thing that hijacked my first 2 minutes with somebody. Otherwise, they're asking me questions and I'm just answering. So that's how important building immediate and sincere rapport is. And I really want everybody to think how I can do a great job being a human, getting laughed, finding a common element before I move on to my presentation. Okay, now.
Hey, John, can I jump in with a question real quick?
Yeah.
Kind of the exact thing that you just described. So we'll call it the first part of our call today, the mandatory experience, or not mandatory, but the preferred or optimal experience where you park across the street, you point out the things as you come in, you enter the front door, that whole concept in the tour. How do you combine that with the concept that you just described, where Mary, your example, Mary and whomever come and you're peeking out the window and you're trying to build rapport. You don't want them to, like, how do you mix that two thing? One, the first thing that you described is more like a specific appointment set up to see a particular property, but how do you utilize a natural traffic lead to capture the whole experience while at the same time building that rapport? Because that would mean you're going to have to walk out. Hey, let me take you across the street so we could look at this. Now you're scrambling to build this rapport and do it at the same time. Like, walk us through how you would do that.
Oh, I'm going to, for sure. I mean, absolutely. And the last thing I want anybody doing is rushing out the door without you doing what we call is a front end. And essentially, the next step in the model home demo are your front end before you go rushing out the door. Because the last thing I want to do is have eliminated all the value enhancers and just shown you 43,500 elements hammered together. And therein lies what Kyle brought up. Therein lies the classic thing we started with. Do you remember that whole thing? Leads, tours, and sales? Well, think about it. Would I rather have a scheduled appointment where I've had one or maybe even two pre-tour phone calls with somebody, or a virgin walk-in? Well, the answer is I'd rather have had some prep time and some relationship building before they come. So I want to strive to really extract people from my database as my primary success mechanism versus wait for somebody to walk in and I have to introduce myself on the fly. So that's the first thing. Number two, whatever your model home is has to be an inviting place to come in to get something of value. So that's that. And then, lastly, number three, all your other places that they can go and explore on their own are locked. So they can't go in and discover the house down the street. They have to come in our way. And Kyle, where I thought you were going is in building a sincere rapport was, how do you do that if there's a protective buyer agent? Well, you turn your focus to the buyer agent, and you, in front of the client, you make compliments that are so grandiose about that buyer agent, how smart they are, how successful they are, what an amazing thing that they have them by their side. The more you gratitude that buyer agent, the more flexibility and the more release that they're going to give you to educate their customers. So building immediate and sincere rapport also plays to really, really breaking down that buyer agent relationship. In fact, that's as or more important in many cases, because they will many times lock their people away from you. And so we've got to break through that cycle and through that mold with that buyer agent. Okay. All right. Let's talk about the four big ones. Now, the four big ones have to be answered, not just right now in your front end, but they've got to be addressed in your social media, in your collateral, in your front end discussions, in your phone calls, in your broker drop-offs, in everything. You're hitting them all the time. So what are they really? The four big. Why buy now? Somebody unmute your mic and answer these questions. What does that speak to? It starts with a U. U-R. Urgency. Okay. Why buy now? Why now is a good time or the best time to consider purchasing with us or anywhere, really. Hold on, I'm on the wrong slide. Why buy here speaks to location. Why buy new speaks to new versus used. And why buy with us or this developer? All of these things start by identifying your companies and your homes USPs and identifying where you're weak and where you need to solve by marketing and salesmanship. So how do we answer our USPs and what are they? USPs is another name for unique selling propositions. They are why your company is better than everybody else. And doesn't mean that they're obvious. It means that you've got to think through and circle the wagons and agree to why you're good. So here's how we do that in our big master plan communities. We start out by doing a little bit of a charrette that pulls out from the people in charge what their USPs are. What makes this shine? This was for a community in Tennessee, a home site sales community, and they came up with 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10. What are the most unique things that we are going to focus on in our sales and our marketing presentation? Communities is a backbone of the sales and marketing presentation. These things are. So they consistently remind us what's unique and different, okay? And then again, how we're going to put these out into the universe. In this case, and in your case, the USPs go out digitally. They go out in our lead gen, and they go out in our discovery center. So for those of you that are lucky enough to have a model home, those of you that are lucky enough to have a discovery center or a sales office, shouldn't that space be lock and step with our 4Ws? Shouldn't that space be subliminally saying in the background with your graphics, with your rotating TV images, why buy now? Why buy here? Why buy new? Why buy with us? Shouldn't they have a purpose? Okay. So you start that exercise by saying, what makes our company unique in this place? What makes our plans unique? Extract 5, extract 6, and then beat that drum to a pulp. Beat it with collateral, beat it with our presentation words, beat it to a pulp on our social media platforms. In fact, we want our social media, our organic social media postings to follow our USPs. Like, why should we every day say, what should we post? Oh, it's raining out. Let's go get a picture of that. Or do we say, hey, we haven't featured our school district lately. It's actually one of our USPs of our location. Let's do it. This week, let's feature our school district or our access to medical or whatever the case may be. Our USPs remind us to keep talking about them. Okay? Otherwise, we have no compass, no direction. So we start by identifying our USBs. And you can see here, in this case, we modify, this is a sales trailer, but we modified the sales trailer to actively be screaming in the background the most important things this developer agreed to. With TVs and rotational images, with big print images, all the way around, okay? And then, of course, even the renderings went through that exact same discovery. So what we want, hold on, I'm getting back to where I was, sorry. There we go. What we want is those identified, okay? Now, our presentation isn't sit down, Bob and Mary, I'm going to go through a 30-minute presentation. No, it's merely during the time I'm with you, did I cover these things? That's what this is about. In a perfect environment, you basically have a post-tour checklist that you go through, and then you say, oh yeah, I nailed that. I covered the location when we were driving to that other place. Great, check. I covered new versus used when we looked at that house and we talked about the monolithic slab versus crawl space. Check. I talked about now in the front end because I went over our incentives. Great, check. So in other words, there's done at multiple points. It's not this Bob and Mary, sit down. I'm going to chain you to the desk and I'm going to cover all of this right now. No, this is the ingredients that have to be in your entire presentation. Some are part of your collateral that you give to them. Some are part of your presentation at an impact station that you're reminded to bring this up. Throughout your entire presentation, these things come up. I don't want it to come across as we just sit there and preach. So let's talk about how we do that. And we just said it. We cover the story, the fours, in our site plan, on our office graphics, in our impact stations, which I'll talk about what an impact station is. Maybe we have an iPad that helps us stay on track, that has images that we kind of flip. In fact, if you don't have a presentation binder or you don't have an iPad as a salesperson, you're crazy. Like, you got to have your material that you easily showcase. Okay. A presentation binder can be homemade, like a binder you did for a high school project. I don't care, but it has elements that help you tell a story that you can pass back in a car, or you can show while you're walking in a home for sale, or while you're in the basement, you can pull it out and show. It's a presentation pitch book that is your tool. That is your visual tool. Everyone should have it. And then, of course, video, blogs, e-blasts, all of that is reinforcing your 4Ws. So let's talk about here, okay? We've got about 10 minutes left, so we're probably going to focus on location. It's one of the biggest things that get neglected. Do you remember at the beginning I said, as a prerequisite, we've got to think of our offering as a master plan community. In a master plan community, everything is defined, from the walking trails, the bike trails, the amenities, the clubhouse, the front entrance, all that. You might not have any of that, but you're going to look at your location and you're going to present it as those people buying this home live in a master planned environment. This park is connected by a walking trail to 500 yards from your front. This home is in this school district. This home is attached to this. And we kind of, location, I always used to call it a funnel. I'm sure you guys have heard. Start big, go small. So why would I start big? Because maybe someone's new to the area. Maybe somebody doesn't know the nuance of this township over that township. Maybe they don't know how quick it is to get to the other side of town, or that one connector road that goes to the airport. All that has to be covered. Do not assume the buyer agent has told them that. Do not assume they know. Cover why this location is so exciting. You cover that here. I want them to buy this location before they buy anything that your builder made. So I want you to be excited about school districts, excited about regional parks, excited about state forests nearby, trailheads, restaurants, medical. I want all that coming out, where I don't care what you buy, but you want to live here. You're going to want to live here. This is the place, and give evidence to that. Is there something, a lot of our clients compete against other states. It could be a retirement destination. It could be a luxury second home where people have the option of this state versus that state. Whatever it might be, from the tax climate to transportation access, this is our time to shine. By the way, I hadn't even talked about sticks and bricks yet, but I have told you that no matter if you buy with us or the competitor, I can tell you this, I left this discussion with this is the only location, this zone is the only location you're going to want to be. And then as I whittle it down in the funnel, I end up on this site or this selection of home sites. Let me tell you why these 5 homes where this builder is building, we couldn't be more happy to be in that spot because of, pull the site plan out, talk about that. Location, location. What do they always say back in the day? The 3 most incredible ingredients in a successful real estate project: location, location, location. So why do us in the new home industry skip location? I mean, shore it up, Go overboard. Have your sales team build you, hold on, where am I trying to find? Build you maps that help you tell the story with a map, with arteries, with where the local things are. Like, focus on location. By the way, your competition's not. So all these things you're doing different than they're doing down the street. You're memorable. You're memorable. Down the street, price per square footage. Over there, presentation by a buyer agent with no one accompanying it. All they're talking about is bedrooms, bathrooms, price per square footage. You're different. You're different. You're the mayor of this town. And by being the mayor of this town, you're proud of where you live. You're proud of where they're going to live. And you talk about this more than the house. So again, you got to extract this. You might have a neighborhood of 40 home sites and no amenities. Open to the public, 40-foot wide home sites. I don't care. That's not an excuse. That's where you come in. That's where you make those 40 home sites like Walt Disney World, like a private club. You find some element to make it as a master plan community. That's what you do. And now, as a buyer, I don't want to go to that other part of town. I don't want to go to that other neighborhood because I remember what they told me. I'll never forget this story. When I was a part of a sales organization, I really think all of you should do this. And Samantha kind of did it in her email. But after somebody makes a sale, that salesperson should give the buyer story of how the sales presentation worked and why they said yes to everyone involved, the superintendent, the company owner, and the other salespeople. They want to hear that story of why somebody bought. I remember I was sitting in, I had a teammate made a sale. I was sitting in one of these meetings, and he said the reason that they bought this house was that I showed them that if you hack a few of these bushes away, there's kind of a trail back through those woods that cuts through to the clubhouse. That guy thought that was the greatest thing in the world. This is what that guy said. He said, oh, I'm going to have a fake putting green in my backyard. I can literally grill out, go over there, say hi to my buddies, walk right by while I'm playing on the putting green and cooking my hamburgers and not any worry. It's literally that quick. That's what he told his friends about. That's why they bought that house, is that little cut through to the clubhouse. It's these little things like Bluetooth as to why I traded my old truck in and bought that new truck. It's the little things. And with location, man, you make people ravished, want to be there. That's why I would explore the strategy of, if I were to leave this perfect model home environment, Discovery Central sales office, to go to a home, I would first go to an impact station, which is a park around the corner. That's why, because I want location to be a primary motivator as to why somebody's buying this house. I'm sorry I'm beating this to a pulp, but it's super important. And in our industry, and especially in the new home construction, new home sales industry, this is not even mentioned. It's not even mentioned. But you're different. You're different. Let me get back on track. We're almost done today, guys. Hang in there with me. And when you talk about location, something to remember, and this is a big deal for me. The left brain thinks of roadmaps. The right brain thinks in terms of enjoyment. You got to cover both the physical and the emotional benefits. So we're not just saying the park is 4 miles away. The hospital is 7.5 miles away. The interstate where you're going to go to work downtown is 7 miles away. You're doing something a little bit more fanciful. You're talking about how you could ride your bike to work. You're talking about how your child can go to the park with a drop-off at this. I talked to the school. This is where the bus drops off. They literally, you could pick them up with all the other moms and dads at this park. It's bringing in emotional stories to your map. So again, I would find a regional map. I'd put marketing stars or graphics or pins on it. That would be my reminder to bring it up, and also the reminder for people to find value in what they could do in each one of those spots. So I know I've beat location to an absolute pulp, but it's so important. Okay. Why buy now? I'm going to stop here. I'm going to go through real quick and show you what we're going to talk about. Timing is so critical. For the last few years, do you know where why buy now, where that discussion started and where that discussion ended? Why buy now? Because they're historic low interest rates. And we basically stopped. Do any of us have that story to tell right now? It's actually the opposite. So we better be great at why now is a great time to buy, because my job is to persuade action with urgency. Write that down. My job is to persuade action with some urgency. So I'm going to show you next Wednesday how to use urgency in various ways to end with buying now is the best decision you could make. Not waiting for next season, not waiting for interest rates, not coming back for a second look. Now is the perfect time. There are specific items that we're going to cover under that you need to always make sure you're doing to make urgency permeate in different ways. Okay. And they could be from concrete financial things like incentives that expire to emotional things like generational guilt and generational legacy that we leverage in saying, F this, it's time to buy this. That's what we're going to become experts at. Boy, you guys are going to be assassins when you get to know how to leverage why buying now is the perfect time. We're going to stop there because this is too important of a category and too much to go into for me to rip through in 3 minutes. And I did want to honor our hard stop. I will send this recording out. Any questions, call me or email me. But let's keep rocking next Wednesday, same time. Next Thursday, same time. I have a feeling we won't get to it all, but that's okay. We can figure out ways to keep doing it. But let's start employing this slowly into your strategies. Start dripping it in to your strategies and start putting together your game plan that sets standards that you will not violate when no one's looking. When that boss is not around, you're going to write it down. I am not going to violate this because I promised myself. That's what this is about. Thank you, guys. Make it a great day.
Thank you
Thanks so much. Have a great
Thank
day.
you, sir.
Okay, bye.